The Oklahoma City Thunder have pulled off a shocking upset with only 3 made threes. The OKC Thunder in the fourth quarter were able to come back from a 10-point deficit and reclaim Game 4. And now they have a crucial Game 5 that I genuinely believe will determine the entire outcome of this series. Today, guys, we're going to get into Game 5 for the Thunder and the Pacers and what both teams need to do to claim their chance to become the NBA champion. And that all starts with what OKC needs to do as an offensive unit. And the big starting point for Oklahoma City is going to be ball movement. In this last game, they only had 10 assists, which is just unacceptable, right? But let's just look at a game like Game 2. The ball needs to move quicker. If you want to beat this Indiana team, don't let them have an easier time on defense with only one pass. Make them have to work for it. Now, some of these plays you guys are going to see are one-pass plays. And sometimes, obviously, that's the best play available. I'm not doubting that. But even just look at something like this. Create an action where you're forcing Indiana to have to be more involved. They get the little screen action. Siakam sort of tries to ignore it. Now you got Thomas Bryant on SGA. Nembhard, trying to watch. He's calling over to Neesmith. Doesn't really recognize what's going on with Caruso. And then Chet's left wide open for a wing three. And he gets it, right? Again, now you're up 15. Gets the ball up to Kaysen Wallace. Back. Just look at how much better the ball movement is here. Slows it down. Gets it over to Kaysen. They do a good job recovering. Gets it back over to Shea. One more to Caruso. The ball movement here is what is going to work for this team. They cannot win this series if they try and slow everything down in terms of just one pass. Make everything hero ball. You're going to make a defense like the Pacers way better because then they can sit home. Now, obviously, you're going to have plays too where Nembhard is trying to ball deny. And you recognize this in Game 4, right? With J-Dub, Caruso bringing the ball up. So SGA doesn't necessarily always have to worry about that on-ball pressure. But again, just even plays like this, I like a lot. Chet gets over, right? Immediately because Turner's up. So now Siakam has to go over. He calls it out even like, hey, you got corner. Slip and miscommunication. J-Dub wide open. That's the other thing. There are 3 balls that for whatever reason OKC just completely passed on last night. The look at some of these plays, right? The off-ball movement. I think OKC just needs to be more involved. Get that extra pass and then you can really make something special. And then we need to talk about one more thing from OKC's offense. Their defense is the way that the defense is. This isn't going to change. But what they need to do is try and find good ways to get Chet and J-Dub involved early so that the Pacers have to respect them, and that makes SGA's life a hell of a lot easier. So let's get right into that by starting with Chet Holmgren. If OKC wants to win Game 5, I believe Chet needs to get involved early, and I think we saw some of the formula for doing this in Game 3. Just take a look here. Chet's going to go ahead and get a start downhill. I think Chet's at its best when he can kind of let things slow down a little bit, right? He gets that second to process, and there isn't just extreme pressure. Right, so Chet again, he's gonna go get the screen, right? Rolls. Now Miles Turner just completely loses sight, and I love too that Chet is asking for the ball. He's like, right here, dude. Like, let's roll. Like, nobody's close. Let me go and get aggressive, right? Because you force the paint pressure early for this Pacers team, you probably are gonna get more 3 balls up. You are gonna get more assists because you're gonna force the issue. Chet does a really good job here helping Shea with the screen, right? Like, okay, let's go. Let's get this screen. Chet does a good job positioning to make it happen. Gets it over. Tyrese, kind of commits, but doesn't fully. And Miles just, kind of lighthearted effort there. Now you're getting the screen here with Haliburton. Wallace drives over, gets the bounce pass. One more. Right now, obviously, do you wish he makes that? Of course, but I like that look. I like the generation of shots we're getting here for Chet. And I think once Chet's involved, I think this team can really get running because then, again, you have to adjust as a defensive unit. You have to make sure that the paint's protected. And speaking of the paint, let's talk about J-Dub, who yet again shows my point. Get downhill against this Pacers team, you're going to force the defense to adjust. If Jalen Williams can also apply paint pressure, I think this OKC team is going to, I think they might run away with Game 5. They get the screen here. They go downhill. Ben Shepherd's on them, and I love that he doesn't settle because there's very realistic chance. I know OKC fans are going to agree. J-Dub might have stopped here, pulled back, and try and put up a midi. But I love he goes with the continuation. He gets into the paint. And again, this is with Shea there, right? But Shea's, again, ball denial. Chet Holmgren does a beautiful job bringing Turner over. Nembhard is kind of just standing there to stop, I guess, SGA from possibly getting the open three. J-Dub going downhill is when we've seen him at his best in these playoffs. I think once he gets that going, everything else gets going. Again, now he gets the board and he goes right back up. These are the issues you have to force. I think at the end of the day, J-Dub needs to continue to go downhill on this team. Force the Pacers to look at different things. Force them to have to look for a different way to stop them. Because if the paint is going to continue to be attacked, as long as the Pacers, or that OKC defense can just calm down, continue to play how they need to play, I think that they found the formula. Obviously, you need to take more threes. But I think if you continue to put rim pressure, threes are going to generate themselves. OKC just needs to be better about making sure to make that extra read, make that extra pass. And I think at that point, the finals is theirs. But now we need to talk about Indiana and what they need to do. I think this all starts with Tyrese Haliburton and being aggressive. If the Pacers want a real chance of winning Game 5, Haliburton needs to be aggressive. Even with plays like this, right? I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this shot right here, but the idea still is you force the issue. Now, even just look at something like this. This is unacceptable, by the way. Now, I understand some of it is also, Imster, they sit him for a good chunk of the second. Absolutely, you are correct. But for your superstar star player to only have 2 buckets basically going into the half. But I love this. You get Hartenstein, and again, like I said, you cannot let the big be the primary defender or be the one stuck with Haliburton, because he will make them pay one way or another. He's either going to drag you out for a 3 or he's going to get you and go down to the paint. And I love how throughout this series or throughout these games, it's been very clear Haliburton going downhill is where he's at his best. Now, it's a bit more difficult because obviously OKC's defense is primed. Look at stuff like this. You get Siakam, you get the screen, you got Caruso one-on-one, one of the best guard defenders in the league. But what I love here is how he splits the possible double. He keeps Caruso to that back shoulder, gets, the right-handed finish, and now you help build a 9-point lead. Now you have the game tied. You go, okay, stay over there. Why would you do that? Because like I said, you don't want the big to be stuck with Tyrese. This dude, whenever he can get the big stuck on him, he loves that matchup. I don't get why they didn't try more stuff like this. I think plays like this for Haliburton are going to make this game so much easier. Even with SGA now on him, the right-handed lay. Just look at how many clips we were looking at, guys. How many right-handed lays, virtually uncontested / easy enough makes did we see? If you can force those shots, get Haliburton to get you 20 to 25, you can win the finals. You can pull off one of the biggest upsets in NBA history. But if Haliburton's not aggressive and he's playing passive, this team I genuinely don't think has a shot. I don't. I think they need him to be aggressive to make Oklahoma City have to guard him, to force something different. Haliburton's aggression is really all you need. The way you've been playing defense is the way you're going to play defense. The way that this team has been playing offensively is how they're going to play. But you cannot allow Oklahoma City to determine how you play at your pace. And let's get into my thoughts for Game 5 on Monday. I think last night was a huge win for OKC. Now, obviously, it's, Imster, obviously, because they would be down 3-1 if they lost. Well, yeah. But I think the bigger thing is they pulled what Indiana did in Game 1. Where despite the fact that the whole game they're leading, and it looked like Indiana had this series dead to rights. It really did. Through the third quarter, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, Indiana's gonna do it. Like this, the team of destiny is actually going to pull it off all the way. But this is the game I think that might have swayed the momentum entirely. Now you're back in OKC. You've got 3 games left. 2 of them are in Oklahoma. And I think, quite frankly, this game is huge. I think SGA is going to come out, and he's going to come out swinging. I think you need J-Dub and Chet to do the same, but I think most importantly, Haliburton. You cannot wait for things to for yourself to get going. At some point, just put on the backpack or try to, or just do something, like be aggressive. Force the problem. I think Oklahoma City will most likely win this game. I wouldn't be shocked if Indiana pulled it off, but something is telling me at the end of the day, what OKC has done here in Game 4 is going to be huge going into Game 5. They're going to get more threes up. They're going to make more than 3 of them. And at that point, I do believe that Oklahoma City is starting to see what lineup they really need to be running. And I think it's going to be SGA. You got Caruso, Dort, J-Dub, Chet. You run a factor of those 5, maybe take out Chet at some point for Hartenstein. You could switch out Dort, switch out whatever. But I think those 5, that's going to be deadly. Let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think of the game last night? What do we think about Monday's game? As always, guys, this was Emster Knows Hoops. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Have a beautiful rest of your day, guys. Peace out.